This morning I wanted to do something a little bit different and take some time to discuss with you our epistle reading rather than our gospel reading, our epistle reading from the third chapter of James. I wanted to speak to you about this, I guess, because it just was a reading that really resonated with me this week. It reminded me a great deal of one of my own shortcomings. Perhaps it does to you as well. Now, I don't know about you, but I know that on occasion there are comments that come out of my mouth that, well, would have been better just left unsaid. Often, in my particular case, they kind of tend to be these quick quips that are intended as being humorous, but sometimes that humor does come at the expense of another person, and it leaves me feeling awful. I suppose, most of us have some history of doing that. Sometimes things come out of our mouths that, at least on the surface, seem innocent enough, but they can still cause embarrassment to ourselves or to others. I was particularly reminded of an example that happened back during March Madness this year. There was a young man who played ball for the University of Wisconsin. His name was Nigel Hayes. And during the NCAA championships, he was in a press conference after a game, and he'd answered lots of questions. And it was kind of noticed that, he had evidently become particularly enamored by this young woman who was there in the crowd asking questions, someone with media credentials. And when the press conference was over, believing that the microphones had all been turned off, he starts to get up and he turns to the player next to him and he says, "Wow, that girl is beautiful." Well, that, of course, got broadcast to all the media people out there, and they thought it was hilarious. But to make matters worse, evidently nothing that he had to say in the press conference was really of any particular interest to them. So what got published in the papers all over the United States was his comment about the girl. Again, a very innocent kind of thing, yet personally embarrassing for him. Certainly, we all know that hot mics or open mics have caused lots of problems for lots of people over the years. Back in 2005, the president of France, then Jacques Chirac, he was caught with an open microphone. He was commenting to Russian President Vladimir Putin about the British. He said, the only thing they have ever done for European agriculture is mad cow disease. You cannot trust people who have bad cuisine. Yeah, well, Britain had the last laugh because they got the Olympics and France didn't, so. During the 2000 presidential election, you'll probably remember, George Bush was on the campaign trail with Mr. Cheney, and he made a comment about a New York Times reporter. Basically said the man was, I'll paraphrase here, a jerk, and Cheney agreed, and there was a lot of controversy over that. And certainly, I mean, who can forget more recently President Barack Obama, who during idle chit-chat with a media person while he was, they were preparing him for a news conference, was asked about what he thought about Kanye West interrupting Taylor Swift at the MTV Video Awards. And Mr. Obama replied, well, he's something crude for donkey, is what he had to say. So anyway, through the years, microphones have been dangerous. Sometimes hot mics can land us in hot water. I've had that experience right here, right here. You know, those of us who wear microphones forget about that sometimes. Deacon Kathy and I, here at the 10 o'clock service on Sunday mornings, we wear microphone headsets, wireless mics. One Sunday, while the congregation was singing the Gloria, I observed something happening out in the congregation that I found humorous. And so I leaned over to Deacon Kathy and commented about it. What I forgot was that we have all this technology now. And Connor Schrock was sitting back here videotaping with a headset on with a direct feed into our microphone system. And I gather he must have heard the comment because he was falling off his stool laughing. That one has cost me a small fortune in hush money. You know, these days, audio and video cameras, they're just everywhere. You can't avoid them. It's amazing to me sometimes when you see on TV these crimes that are committed and you know, they're getting video footage off of people's home security systems or a bank ATM machine across the street or something, and able to see the actual activity. These things are everywhere. And, you know, many of the so-called open mic gaffes that you see and hear about wind up being streamed out on the internet for the world to see. Sometimes they're not quite so funny. Sometimes they contain some really awful things, profane, racist, sexist, threatening language. And certainly we know that these kinds of comments have ruined plenty of political careers. They've destroyed people's marriages. They've destroyed careers. They've even strained international relations sometimes. Now, you know, while in your life, you might not necessarily spend a great deal of time in front of a microphone, all of us, I think, have experienced the power of words that come out of our mouths sometimes and can be very hurtful to others. I mean, you get the picture. Friendships are lost, marriages are strained. You know, work environments are made uncomfortable because we've commented about someone else whom we work with, and that's circled back around to that person somehow. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You know, we all know once those words have left our lips, those words are completely out of our control. You know, it's the old saying, you can't, get toothpaste back into the tube. Well, that's certainly the case with our words. That bell cannot be unrung. That train has left the station. Now, those words may not go viral on the internet, but they may go virus, infecting people whom we really otherwise would care about. You know, as your pastor, I can tell you that just in individual counseling sessions that I've had with folks, sometimes I'm amazed at the impact that a parent's careless words 30, 40 years ago can still have on your lives today. How much some of those kinds of cutting words can hang with you your entire life. I'm amazed to see sometimes the negative impact that the uninformed opinion of some teacher can continue to have on your decisions today about what you think of yourself. I mean, even though you've gone on to live very successful lives and had great careers, those things hang with us. I know they've hung with me. Those words can get amplified in our hearts, and they don't need any kind of a microphone in order to get our attention. And you know what? In an honest moment, I think each and every one of us would confess that, we've done and said these things to others ourselves. Perhaps in the midst of some out-of-control moment with our children. Perhaps we said something that we knew would just push our spouse's buttons and send them right over the top. The mean words, maybe, that we've said to a close friend under the guise of brutal honesty. James' message to us in this text then today is really quite simple. It's really nothing more than a call that we choose between the words that hurt and the words that heal. Because our words can be used to bless as well. And James points that out to us. They can be used to bring healing to injured souls. And so, where does that leave each of us? It leads each of us to a place this morning where we can sit and contemplate the bulk of our own words. Are the bulk of our own words we speak to others and about others words that heal or words that injure? Are they emotionally hurtful words, or are they emotionally healing words? So, I guess, before any of us goes about the business of posting something or tweeting something or chatting or otherwise sharing, we really need to stop and measure our words to be sure that we're representing Christ well as the Christians that we claim to be. Our words have the power to destroy, but they also have the power to strengthen and encourage and affirm those we love. When we come together on a Sunday morning like this, we come together to use our words to praise God, to unite our voices in prayer, and to confess our faith through the creeds. We're using all of those words, and our very being, our very bodies are given in praise of God. And then after the service, when we go out to the narthex or back for hospitality, we have an opportunity then to encourage one another in our Christian walk over a cup of coffee. Or, virtually every one of you is involved in some kind of other ministry within this church, within that small group. You have the opportunity to tell your story and allow others to learn from your own personal mistakes. You have the opportunity to heal rather than the opportunity to hurt. We can stop and pray for someone in our congregation or in our midst who's struggling. We can use our words, and it doesn't have to stop there. When we compliment the work of someone who works with us in the office, that's a blessing to them. When we offer a word of encouragement to somebody we supervise, or even a word of encouragement to someone who supervises us, we are offering a blessing to that person. When we leave a note of appreciation for a waiter in a restaurant, when we compliment our youth here in the church or in our neighborhood for something they've done, that's a blessing to them. When we do these things, we're living into our calling. This is what we're called to do. This is who we are called to be. Our words are powerful, and we need to use them wisely. Hot microphones are certainly embarrassing when they amplify the wrong things. But you know what? A hot microphone has never been a problem for anyone when they were building up others and blessing God in the process. Let us always speak in such a way that we never fear a hot mic or some hidden video camera or a nosy neighbor or an errant text. In short, James the Apostle says to us today, watch your mouth. Pretty good advice. Amen.